does the Astros cheating scandal rank? Um, just ask former baseball player Pete Rose. Well, coming out of Las Vegas, Nevada, from the Associated Press, Pete Rose was taking a break from signing autographs at the MGM Grand Hotel when asked a question he's uniquely qualified to address. What's worse, betting on baseball or cheating at baseball? Rose basically said he didn't. Pete Rose said he didn't know. Rose told the Associated Press, "All I know is that I've been suspended for 30 years now." He's like, "I don't know anybody else who's been suspended for that long." It's a fair point, especially when compared to the punishments handed out so far in the worst scandal to hit baseball since the steroid era. What Rose did was wrong according to baseball rules, but there's still a lot of people who believe he should be added to the Hall of Fame destination when he signs memorabilia in his adopted hometown of Las Vegas. Still 30 years away from the game he was so great at seems like an awful long time, especially when Major League Baseball and other sports leagues have made their peace and are doing business with the bookies who post lines in their games. And face it, if you believe Rose in the details of what he did, and that's a stretch for some, his betting didn't have nearly the impact on baseball than a cheating scheme that has brought into question the legitimacy of not just one but two World Series. Which one is worse, stealing signs electronically or taking steroids or betting on baseball? The all-time Major League hit leader asked. All three are bad, but at least what I did never had anything to do with the outcome of the game. The Astros cheating scandal, of course, is still new, at least publicly. A week ago, no one was questioning whether the Astros were really the 2017 champions or the Red Sox the year after. Now it's all unplanned, and the discussion is beginning to turn to how the sign scandal ranks to other scandals in baseball history. Pretty high up with each passing day, if only because there are a few comparable scandals and two of them involve gambling. The first baseball game that ever involved gambling was the 1919 World Series, with which was known as the Black Sox scandal, and Rose betting on baseball games from the dugout in Cincinnati and are about the only ones that come close. There's also the steroid era, where it was hard to figure out what was real and what wasn't. The players themselves weren't much help sticking up for teammates and for the most part claiming ignorance of steroid use. The unwritten baseball code of silence, though, seems to be unraveling quickly with the sign-stealing scandal. That began in November when former Houston pitcher Mark Fiers went on record to The Athletic about the scheme the Astros employed during his time there to steal signs. Dodgers pitcher Alex Wood, who was careful to hide his signals and allowing only one hit and 5 2/3 of an inning pitched in Game 4 of the World Series, tweeted that he would rather pitch to a player on steroids than one who knew which pitch was coming. That sentiment was echoed by Cincinnati Reds pitcher Trevor Bauer, who added all day, every day for the rest of the time. National League MVP Cody Bellinger for the Dodgers went even further, saying there needs to be major consequences for players involved in this. That completely ruins the integrity of the game, Bellinger tweeted on his Twitter feed. Pete Rose said he wished the scandal wasn't planned on a month before pitchers and catchers have to report for spring training next month. He predicted that baseball commissioner Rob Manfred will have a hard time dealing with this fallout. But he agreed with Bellinger that if players are guilty, they need to be punished just as he was. If you're the batter and I give you the indicator, aren't you just as guilty as being the batter? He asked. It's the batter who is benefiting from this, not the guy who was the indicator. You have to look at every player on the team. Rose, who turned 79 in April, said there was sign stealing during his time, though without technology. Mostly it was coaches figuring out sign sequences and a runner at second, relaying them to the batter, and there were accepted ways to make it stop. Usually what would happen is the pitcher would throw it right at the guy's head, he said. 90 out of 100%, 100 would stop because they don't want that chin music. But while Rose was guilty of doing things not in the best interest of baseball, he said he wasn't much of a sign thief. Pete Rose said he batted 15,000 times in his career, and I never wanted a guy on second to tell me what was coming. He said, I didn't want to know because he might be wrong and I wasn't a guess hitter anyway, so that wouldn't have helped much. It did help, Rose said. The home run hitters who like to guess on what pitches were coming, and that, he added, holds true today. It's a bigger thing for home run hitters, he said. I played with a lot of guys who were home run hitters, and you tell them what's coming, and they would hit it out of Yellowstone. Pete Rose was actually a good hitter. He actually holds the record for the most career hits. He just wasn't much of a home run threat. He only had like 160 homers in his career, so it wasn't a lot.